Have you ever loved someone who made you feel like you were the problem? You know what I mean? You gave them everything. You stayed consistent. You showed up even when they gave you every reason to walk away. And still, they treated you like you were too much, like your love was a burden, like your effort was annoying. You started questioning yourself. You dimmed your light just to fit into their small world. You shrunk yourself down because they made you believe that's what you needed to do to keep them. And the worst part, you did it all without ever getting the one thing you actually deserved. Stability, consistency, someone who chose you the way you chose them. So, here's what I want you to ask yourself right now, not tomorrow. Not when you're alone and spiraling. Right now, what if you stopped trying? What if you stopped chasing someone who never ran towards you in return? What if instead of fighting for a person who treated your heart like it was disposable, you simply walked away? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, if I stop chasing, they'll disappear forever. You're thinking, if I pull back, they'll forget I ever existed. But what if that's exactly what they want you to believe? What if I told you that the very thing you're most afraid of, the silence, the distance, the space between you, is actually the most powerful thing you could ever create? Here's the truth. Nobody tells you. The people who pull away the hardest are usually the ones who feel the most. They just don't know how to handle it. So they push, they test, they create distance, and they watch. They watch to see if you'll fold. They watch to see if you'll prove that you're just like everyone else. Someone who gives up when things get hard. But when you don't fold, when you don't chase, when you stand exactly where you are and refuse to shrink, that's when something inside them breaks, and that's when everything changes. Now, I'm not here to give you false hope. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about manipulation or making someone jealous on purpose. This is about something much deeper than that. This is about understanding how human psychology works. This is about knowing that some people are wired to pull away from love because intimacy scares them more than loneliness does. And once you understand that, once you see them clearly instead of through the fog of your own desperation, you stop taking their silence personally. You stop chasing someone who was never running toward you to begin with. You start directing all that energy back toward yourself. The silence you create isn't cruel. It's honest. It's the strongest message you could ever send to someone who only hears you when you stop speaking. And by the time this video ends, you're going to understand exactly why the more you ignore an avoidant, the harder they fall. You're going to learn why absence creates a psychological pull that presence never could. You're going to see how your silence can do more than words ever could. So, if you've ever felt like you were losing yourself trying to hold on to someone who is already gone, stay right here. This is for you. Because what you're about to learn could change the way you see every relationship in your life, every connection, every person who made you feel like you weren't enough. You are enough. And by the end of this video, you're going to believe it too. So, let's talk about something specific now. Let's talk about the pattern. Because if you've been in this situation before, you know exactly what I'm describing. It starts slow, almost invisible. One day, they love you deeply. They text you constantly. They want to know how your day went. They remember the little things you said weeks ago. They make you feel like the most important person in their world. And then out of nowhere, something shifts. Their texts get shorter. Their responses take longer. They suddenly have plans when you want to spend time together. They become distant, but still present enough to keep you wondering. Still present enough to make you feel like maybe you're imagining the whole thing. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You replay every conversation looking for the moment you said something wrong. You blame yourself. You adjust yourself. You try harder. And that's exactly what they want. Here's what you need to understand about avoidant people. Their pattern is not random. It's calculated. Even if they don't realize they're doing it, they create distance because they need to know you're still there. They need to know that even when they pull away, you'll still chase. They'll still stay. They'll still prove that your love for them is strong enough to survive their own behavior. That's the test right there. They pull away to see if you panic. They go silent to see if you beg. They create emotional distance to see if you'll fight to close it. And every time you do, every single time you double down and try harder, you pass their test. Not because you've proven your love, but because you've proven that you'll tolerate being treated like an option. And the more you tolerate it, the more they pull away. Because your chasing tells them something dangerous. It tells them that you need them more than you need yourself. That your sense of worth depends on their attention. That you'll accept breadcrumbs because you're afraid of walking away empty-handed. So they keep pulling and you keep chasing. And the cycle gets deeper every single time. Most people don't see this pattern because they're too focused on the emotion of it. They're too tangled up in how much they love this person to step back and see clearly. They're desperate to make it work, desperate to fix things, desperate to get back to the beginning when everything felt good. But here's the problem with that thinking. You can't negotiate your way back to someone who emotionally withdrew. You can't beg your way into someone feeling safe enough to come back. You can't fix their fear of intimacy by giving them more of yourself. That's not how it works. That's not how it has ever worked. And the more you chase, the more they see you as someone who doesn't have boundaries. Someone who will stay, no matter how poorly they treat you. Someone who chooses their comfort over your needs every single time. You have to see the pattern for what it is. It's not about you. It's not about something you did or didn't do. It's about their internal struggle with closeness. It's about the part of them that panics when someone gets too close. It's about the wall they build. Not because they don't love you, but because love itself feels threatening to them. The pattern is a cycle. Pull, test, retreat, observe. Pull, test, retreat, observe. Over and over again, they create distance because that's the only way they know how to feel safe. And over again, most people fall directly into the trap by chasing harder. But not you. Not anymore. Because now you see it for what it is. Now you understand the game they didn't even know they were playing. And that understanding alone changes everything. Now that you see the pattern, let's talk about what happens when you fall into it. The trap is deceptively simple. It feels like love. It looks like devotion. But underneath it, something much darker is happening. Every time you chase someone who pulls away, you teach them something dangerous. You teach them that their silence has power, that their absence can summon you, that no matter how far they retreat, you will always come running back. And that knowledge rewires everything between you. They stop seeing you as a partner. They start seeing you as someone who will stay regardless, someone whose worth depends on their approval, someone who will put their own peace aside just to feel close to them, even for a moment. Think about that for a second. Really think about it. When you chase someone who is actively pulling away, what you're really doing is telling them that their behavior is acceptable, that your needs don't matter, that their comfort is more important than your emotional well-being. And they feel that on some level. They know exactly what you're doing. They know you're abandoning yourself to keep them close. And that changes how they respect you. Not in a cruel, deliberate way, but in a quiet, internal way. The kind of disrespect that shows up in shorter texts, longer response times, more distance, more detachment. Because when you chase without boundaries, you stop being a mystery to them. You stop being someone with their own life, their own standards, their own self-worth. You become predictable. You become safe. And safe to someone with avoidant tendencies is the same as boring. Here's something most people never consider. Avoidant people are often attracted to connection precisely because it's challenging. It's unpredictable. It's someone who has their own world, their own boundaries, their own identity. That's magnetic to them. That's interesting. That's someone worth coming back for. But the moment you start chasing, the moment you abandon your own life to orbit around them, you lose that magnetism entirely. You become part of their landscape instead of someone they want to explore. The trap isn't just that chasing doesn't work. The trap is that chasing actively works against you. It removes the very qualities that made them interested in the first place. Your independence, your strength, your ability to walk away when you're not treated right. See, when you chase, you're not showing love. You're showing desperation. And desperation is one of the least attractive qualities a person can have. Not because there's anything wrong with wanting connection, but because it signals that your emotional state depends entirely on them. That you've handed over your happiness to someone who has already shown you they can't be trusted with it. And they feel that pressure even if they don't articulate it. Even if they don't consciously know what's happening, they feel you leaning on them for your sense of worth. And it makes them want to pull further away. Not because they don't care about you, but because nobody can carry the weight of being someone's entire emotional world. That's too much for anyone. And deep down, they know they can't give you what you need. So, they retreat and you chase harder. And the gap grows wider. The trap is a cycle that strengthens itself every time you engage with it. And the only way to break it isn't to try harder. It's to stop. It's to choose yourself. It's to redirect all that energy you've been pouring into someone who couldn't even pour a cup of water for you back into your own life, into your own growth, into your own peace. That's not abandonment. That's survival. And once you stop chasing, something remarkable happens. The dynamic shifts. The power returns to you. And they finally have to face what it feels like to lose someone who actually showed up for them. That's where everything changes. Let's go deeper now because understanding what's actually happening inside an avoidant person's mind will change everything about how you respond to them. Most people assume that avoidant people don't feel deeply, that they simply don't care as much as you do, that they entered the relationship with one foot already at the door. But that's not what the research shows. That's not what psychology tells us. Avoidant people feel everything. They feel it deeply. The problem is they don't know how to process it. They don't have the emotional tools to hold space for intense feelings without feeling overwhelmed. And when someone gets too close too fast, their nervous system interprets it as a threat. Think about that for a moment. Not as an excuse, but as information. Their brain is not malfunctioning. It's protecting them. It's doing exactly what it was wired to do. When connection feels too intense, their body signals danger. And their solution isn't cruelty, it's retreat. It's creating space before things get overwhelming. It's pulling back to breathe before they drown. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This protective mechanism didn't start with you. It started long before you entered their life. Somewhere in their past, they learned that closeness leads to pain. Maybe they lost someone unexpectedly. Maybe they were dismissed or rejected when they were most vulnerable. Maybe they grew up in an environment where expressing needs was met with indifference. Their brain recorded that data, and it's been running that program ever since. Every time someone gets close, the alarm goes off. Every time someone offers genuine love, their system prepares to defend. Not because they don't want the love, but because somewhere deep inside, they've learned that love leaves. So when you come along and you give them everything, you love them deeply, you show up consistently, that triggers their alarm system. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because what you're offering is exactly the thing their brain learned to fear. This is called attachment conditioning, and it runs much deeper than conscious choice. It's happening beneath their thoughts, beneath their words, beneath whatever they tell themselves about why they act the way they do. So, what does this mean for you? It means their distance has nothing to do with your worth, nothing to do with how lovable you are, nothing to do with whether you're good enough or doing enough. Their pullback is their fear talking, not their love talking. And you can't fix fear by loving someone harder. You can only heal fear by creating safe space around it. See, when you chase, you intensify their alarm. You become proof that closeness is dangerous because here comes someone who will exhaust themselves trying to get through to you. That confirms their worst suspicion. That love is exhausting, that connection costs too much, that the only safe way to be close to someone is to keep them at arm's length. But when you stop, when you hold your ground and refuse to chase, something shifts. You're no longer reinforcing their fear. You're no longer proving that closeness leads to overwhelm. Instead, you're showing them that you can hold space for their struggle without demanding they change. That you respect their process even when it hurts you. That you value yourself enough to walk away when you're not being treated with the dignity you deserve. That's not abandonment. That's the exact opposite. That's the safest thing you could ever offer someone who learned that everyone eventually leaves. You're not leaving because you don't care. You're leaving because you care enough to not enable a pattern that keeps them stuck. And that distinction matters more than they'll ever understand in the moment. The psychology here is simple. People can't change what they don't feel safe changing. And you're giving them the safest environment possible when you stop chasing, when you stop bending, when you stop making them the center of your universe. Because now they can breathe. Now they can feel their feelings without performing for you. And somewhere in that space, something might just shift. But it can only shift if you stop holding them so tightly. Your silence is not cruel. It's the permission they need to face themselves honestly. And that's where real change begins.